So the roads, we don't have a lot of control over, but communication we do. So what we're hoping to do here during this meeting is get some ideas and topics, things that you'd be interested in working with the commissioners together. We can set some goals, the objectives, the steps to get there, and whatever resources we need, and take ownership of it. So we can't just say nothing's happening. We can actually do something about it. Okay, on that note, I'm going to turn this over to our wonderful moderator. First, there's a new, there's a papers on the table over there that provides some data on the roads, and Adrian provided that. So, would you like to say a few words about it?
Yeah, sure, briefly. What I did was, I know that the community is desperate for getting our roads repaired. And what I did was, I took a report that was directly from the town of Edgewood that was given to them back in 2020 that explains the cost of it. Because I think as community members, it's important to realize how much, if we maintain these roads, how much are going to cost us per mile versus if we let them get away from us, how much it's going to cost per mile. Because we see significant savings if we maintain the road we currently have. And that's what's back there. If you guys would like to grab a copy, I will be speaking on that issue and the infrastructure priorities question. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to start, and the way we're going to run this is we have 5 questions for each commissioner. Each commissioner will answer the questions, but they only get 2 minutes to do so that we can move through these very rapidly. To my knowledge, they have had a peek at these questions before, correct? So they have some ideas, not like, oh my gosh, we didn't know I was talking about this. So we're going to start, and we're going to start with Commissioner number for District 5.
Yes, great question. Can the audience have follow-up questions, or how would you like the grab those?
What we're going to do is all the commissioners can answer the questions, and this is for time. We don't want to get held up in the middle of the questioning. And once all the questioning is done, the commissioners are finished, then we'll open for questions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to say the question out loud because the audience doesn't know what that is. So here's the question that they're all going to answer. Tell us about yourself. For example, why did you choose to live in Edgewood? Why are you running for commissioner? And what is the most embarrassing moment of your life? All right, Mike, it's over to you.
All right, thank you. First, before the clock starts, I'd like to thank all the folks that put this together, Mary, Barbara, and the community that showed up. I really appreciate that. And I think it's going to be interesting to cover these questions. That are really thoughtful questions and thought-provoking questions, so thank you. So a little bit about myself. Well, I 20 years in the Air Force. Settled here at the tail end of my Air Force career. We've been here for about 30 years, since 1996. We built a house and we've been in the same place that long. And then I took a job at Kirtland Air Force Base as a senior logistics manager and was out there for 25 years and retired a couple of years ago. In March, I took on the job of commissioner, and I've been doing that since to give back to my community. And I also did the Los Cerritos HOA for about 25 years and served in every capacity there as well. So that helped me to get engaged in the community and all of the different assets I dealt with the town of Edgewood here in that period of time as well. Why did I choose to live in Edgewood? And I think that for the most of us, I think that that's the rural feel and the environment. The ability to have livestock is another one, and the good schools. We really wanted our kids to go to good schools with smaller schools and have that interaction. And I grew up in a town of 420 people, so I was used to that small town environment, and everyone knew each other, and I really liked that. Why did I run for the commission? I was asked by my neighbors to do that, friends and family, there was a vacancy that came up, and they said, Dad, you'd be a good fit for that. And again, I wanted to give back to the community, and I wanted to help. I knew they were struggling in a lot of ways with turnover, and they had a vacancy that was kind of keeping them from getting everything done with that extra person on the commission. So I really wanted to do that. Most embarrassing moment of my life. Well, I've had a lot of those, and the one that comes up most recently is when the town has to point out to us where we don't know our own ordinances. And I've actually said that to the staff several times. How come, I'm almost done, I promise.
No, you're good, I'm trying to figure
How
out.
come that the town has to point out our ordinances or we're supposed to do the job? I said, that's really embarrassing for me, because we should know this better than anyone else. So, that's it, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. On to Mr. Anaya.
Thank you all for listening.
You can tell them. Ready to go? No. Edit. It's not user friendly, edit.
Now, this is embarrassing.
It's technology.
Can I start talking before you go?
Go for it, yeah.
I want to start off with the second part of the first question, which is why did you choose to live here in Edgewood? I didn't. And the reason I say I didn't is because I'm kind of like a Chinese elm. I have very deep roots. My parents, his parents, and probably the parents before that were here. So it wasn't by my choice to be born and to be raised here in Edgewood. Moriarty, basically, it was called the East Mountains at that time. Born and raised, went to school, graduated, went to Albuquerque for a while, came back, and when I came back, the reason I did is because I wanted to raise my daughters here from kindergarten all the way up, and we did that, and they graduated from here, went on to college, and have been very successful throughout their careers. The school system here, I was a part of it for a long period of time. I think all of you all know who I am. I'm Flounder Knight. I've been associated with the town of Edgewood for multiple years in some fashion. Whether it be through the Board of Education, whether it be through Santa Fe County with the CDRC, whether it be for now as the Commissioner for District 4, I had to look and see, because we're actually may have a district number, but we're at large. We work for the whole town. We don't work for just a certain neighborhood. And I've always been proud of that, being able to do that. I'll talk to anybody they want from any part of the town, even outside of the town. You know, we're all neighbors. Sorry. I got a lot more if you guys want to listen.
The only thing you want to hear is your most embarrassing moment.
I have none.
Must have been pretty bad.
Trust me.
All right, so we'll move on to the next Commissioner for District 4, or the one that's running.
Hi, my name is Steven Murillo, current Commissioner for District 4. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, so my parents moved out here when I was 5 years old back in 1991, so I grew up here, went to school out here, just learned from Phil. They handed me my diploma back in high school when I graduated, so that was fun. I forgot about that. And my whole family lives here, so this is where my wife and my children live. Why did I go to school in Edgewood? So after I graduated high school, I knew I wanted to have a family, and I wanted to have a big family, and I wanted to keep it somewhere where I knew people, I knew the areas of Edgewood, and I wanted to have that same experience that I had. And so that's why I chose to stay in Edgewood and not move out. Why I'm running for commissioner, so for me, I never had an intention to be a commissioner, but I was asked to be a commissioner to, similar to Mr. Reardon, to fill a vacancy. And so I believe what our founding fathers said, you know, it's our duty to serve. And so when I was asked to do it, I said yes, because that was my obligation as a resident and as an American citizen, right? And the reason that I want to continue running to be a commissioner is because I had the opportunity this past year to learn a lot, to get the onboarding, to start figuring out government, trying to understand how this works. And so I don't want to just let the last year be in vain. I see a lot of things that I want to get done in this town. I see a lot of things that we can do to make this town better and to protect this town. And what's the most embarrassing moment in my life? I'll just have to go to this past season. I was coaching a baseball game and I told a kid to run and he shouldn't have ran. And so that was pretty embarrassing to get your own player thrown out. So that was pretty recent, well, this past spring. So I made a bad call there.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to Mr. Chavez.
Welcome everybody, and thank you to the host for putting this on and giving us an opportunity to speak to the public. My name is Adrian Chavez Sr. I have deep roots in the area. My family's been here for decades. One of the reasons that I moved to Edgewood was because my wife lived here, my current wife, and I love her to death, so I moved out here. I was living in Albuquerque. I didn't think I was gonna like it out here. I actually love it out here. I don't like people on top of me, so I can relate to what a lot of folks that have lived here for a really long time are looking for. We want to maintain our sense of rural community. Why I'm running for commissioner? I'm running for commissioner because I think I can do a lot of good in regards to my knowledge, the experiences that I had. I'm a business owner. I went to school, studied, I did not get my degree in political science, but like a math class, English class away from it. But I understand the importance of politics in local communities. And I think that it's imperative that we share that information, and we should come out and be a valued community resource and provide educational materials to our community whenever we can. As we stated earlier, there's papers in the backpack there. When I get to number 4, be happy to go and grab one and just kind of look. I think it's important for you guys to trust those of us that you're putting in these seats. The most embarrassing moment of my life, I was younger, a teenager, and I remember going to my friend's house, spending the night, and I had a crush on his sister. And his father woke us up at 5:30 in the morning to go clean out the dairy farm. I'd never been in a dairy stall area. I never realized how slippery those things were. So she was in there, I was trying to be all cool, and I slipped and busted my butt, and I was full of cattle dung. So that's pretty embarrassing. Anywho, that's me in a nutshell, and I hope to provide more detail about me in a few minutes.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Brennan.
All right, a little bit about myself. I'm a retired Navy, 20 years, retired as Chief Petty Officer. Retired from General Electric. The last 17 years of General Electric, I was a manager, managing crews that worked in the wind turbines throughout the country and also across the world. So that's a little bit about me. I've been married for 43 years, and it's been great. We've been together, and she's always behind me. The reason why I moved to Edgewood is Edgewood has a lot of open space, and I wanted to have some land to live on. I wanted to have places to put my stuff. And, the people out here, when we got to moving around, just wonderful, and it's very friendly people. It just sold me on Edgewood. And why am I running for commissioner? I want to go ahead and continue the work that I started 4 years ago. There's a lot of things that we started off, we wanted to do. We haven't gotten to everything yet, but we're getting there. We've made great strides getting to those points. and making sure that things are happening. And if you look around Edgewood, things are happening. There's been more road work going on in this town than there has been ever before. We've got more community events going on than has ever happened before. And Edgewood has become a more desirable place for more people around the state to come to move to. And I want to continue that. That's the reason why I'm running for re-election. Most embarrassing moment about myself, it was about 16 years old. I was at my brother's wedding reception, and I got up to give a toast to the bride and groom. And I called the new bride by my brother's ex-girlfriend's name. If anybody knows anything about me, the one big thing I have a problem with is remembering names. Luckily for me, though, my brother's ex-girlfriend's name was Alice. His new wife's last name was Allison. So I quickly realized what I did and made a quick recovery. I don't know if it slipped by, but that was my most embarrassing moment.
All right, thank you very much. So this time we're going to start with Mr. Naya. And this is the question that he's going to be answering for us, and actually all of them are. That question is this: what is your vision for Edgewood in terms of future commercial and residential growth, including your stance on the development of large residential communities? All right.
Well, I like that question. That's one thing that I've been doing for quite some time is I'm a contractor, so I have the opportunity to work a lot on developments throughout not only the state, but through the county here in Edgewood. And I believe in proper growth, and I believe in having the proper utilities in ground to where you can have that proper growth. It doesn't have to be a large type of development. It just has to be a smart type of development that we need here in Edgewood. And the same thing with residential. As long as you have, and you can have what they call cluster housing, but as long as you have open space in the location of where the cluster housing is, it's a great fit for the town of Edgewood. But again, it all has to be done smart. And if you work with the planning and zoning and help out with all of the rules and regulations, or there's actually a better word for it, it's called ordinances, resolution and ordinances. And that's one nice thing about us is we get to determine those. And if you have people that work together, you can do a great job for us instead of just, for example, the strong mayor type operation. We now have 5 commissioners that at some point you hope that we all can work together and with different types of backgrounds and be able to establish a good, strong ordinance for the town of Edgewood.
Thank you very much. We go on to Mr. Murillo. Thank you.
I can't hear very
Let's take a meeting here.
So my vision for Edgewood, so in regards to commercial or residential, Edgewood's growing and it's going to grow, and you know, there's no stopping progress here in Edgewood. It's going to happen. And so for me, my view is, my vision is how do we do that in a responsible manner, and how can we be open and transparent about that? And so that's a big thing for me. I think it's important who we're putting on the planning and zoning boards here in Edgewood. I'm the only commissioner that has gone out and made the point to make sure that we're interviewing those folks, not just so that I know who they are, but so that you all know who they are, right? I think it's fair that everyone can give me a call, shoot me an email, and give me their ideas about how we can do things. I think that's also fair for our planning and zoning commission as well. They should People should know who they are. They should be a part of this community so that they can get input from the community. I do think though, one of my big visions for Edgewood is thinking about affordability of homes. And when I say affordability, I'm not thinking of, Section 8, low housing kinds of income type of development. I'm thinking for people that are 19 years old like me, being able to go out and purchase a home and start my family. My daughter, she wants to come back to Edgewood. She's 19. What is she gonna buy out here? That she can't afford anything out here. And so that's what I want to see for Edgewood, is a place where young families can come and raise strong families, because our children are the future and our families are what makes Edgewood so important. And so for me, that's what's going to be guiding my vision on how to move that forward. And that's the neat thing about having a commission form of government, is it's not just one person making a choice, it's a group that are taking feedback from the community to make those decisions for the town of Edgewood.
Thank you very much. Now to Mr. Chavez.
My vision for Edgewood is to maintain its rural feel. And that starts with the Planning and Zoning Commission. When I was on the Planning and Zoning Board, we created an ordinance that was approved by the commission. And it states that housing, residential places cannot go less than 1 acre. So that's a start. It keeps people from overdeveloping in certain areas. It's real important to also remember we have the comp plan too that we gotta abide by. Maintaining that sub-agricultural type rural feel for our community. I agree with Commissioner Murillo. Edgewood's gonna grow. I mean, why is it gonna grow? People love the type of environment we have out here. I think in order to develop it in a smart way, it's really important to remember there's a lot of other aspects that contribute to the growth of any community, and that starts with income. How are we gonna maintain our roads? How are we gonna pay for these things? Where's the GRT? The GRT that we have now, we have existing businesses that contribute to that, maintain that yearly. It's gonna be hard to develop beyond that. So we need to keep that in mind so that we will move forward as a community. We have the financial ability to grow, maintain, and develop any new division within the town. I don't think that, I know I don't want large residential communities. And having sat on the Planning and Zoning Board, I'm glad we made that decision to keep it at 1 acre.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Brennan, go ahead.
All right, so my vision for Edgewood is to maintain what we have already, is to continue to expand on the services we provide. As far as for housing, right now the average housing cost in Edgewood is over $400,000. If you're a young person starting off, unless you've got one heck of a good job, you're not going to be able to get that house. So that we've been looking at what we call I hate to use the word affordable housing because it has a bad term. I like to say economically attainable housing for the income level that you're at. And one of those things is going to be small townhomes or small apartment complexes. If we want to go ahead and keep our kids be able to live here, they have to have a place to start off with that they can afford. And those type of housing communities can do that and provide that. And as they grow up, they can go ahead and buy bigger and larger places like we all have. When I first ran, I said I like to keep properties at 2 acres. But as I started to learn more and started to realize, you get hit with reality, the 1 acre idea was good, and it still helps us to keep our rural community. For commercial businesses, we have all of Route 66 or 333, whichever you want to call it, is commercial, and we can continue to develop that. But we need to put infrastructure in along there, and that means sewer and water. Because without sewer and water, we're not going to be able to get any businesses wanting to move in because they're not going to be wanting to set up septic systems and stuff like that. Then we have some commercial properties on 344. It's been tried to add additional commercial properties to that, but people bought their land as residential, and if they bought land next to someplace that's residential, they don't want to see that change. And I am definitely in support of trying to keep it the way that is. I think we have adequate commercial properties right now.
Thank you. Mr. Reardon?
My vision is pretty much the same, I believe, as the rest of Edgewood. We want to retain the small country feel that we have, and it's a staple of country living. That's what we do, and that's what brought us here, honestly. And it's going to grow, like all the other commissioners said. One of the other things that we have in place that I think is going to be beneficial to us too is we have a 4-story limit on any construction, right? We want to be able to see the stars. We want to be in touch with nature. We like the fact that there's less traffic out here, less crime, you have space to move, and you're not right on top of your neighbors. It really does give you the small town feel, but it is going to grow, and we do that responsibly, and that's covered in our next areas of how we would specifically do that. But again, it's got to be responsibly done, and we have to be engaged, and we have to talk to our constituents out there to see what they want. And one of the things I keep hearing everybody say, we want a steakhouse. Yeah, that'd be really nice. But we've grown reasonably, I believe, over the last 25 years, and it hasn't got to the point where people want to move away. They're still wanting to come to our community.
Thank you. Okay, so we're now going to go on to question number 3. And we're going to start with Mr. Morello. That question is this: what steps will you take to determine what steps will you take to determine that Edgewood doesn't outgrow its water supply?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So if anybody's watched any of the regular meetings, you can definitely know that my vote is to protect Edgewood's water supply. I've always made a decision, if we're gonna grow, we need to make sure we have the water. I know, now that I've been able to be a part of the commission, is to really consider what we're doing is, and you guys stop me if I start going into ex parte communication stuff here, but pretty much, we are looking for water. We do have a plan to do it. It's just that negotiation portion, right, that we can't necessarily really talk about at this point. And so I think ensuring that we have ideas of how we're going to secure more water rights. Also, one of the things, and it was brought up at the last commission by other commissioners about, how do we make sure that we're using our water efficiently and useful here in Edgewood, and that we're not watering golf courses. I'll just tell everyone right out the gate, I might have to recuse myself at some point because of this, but I refuse. I do not want a golf course in Edgewood, period. That's just a waste of water, period, and I don't want to bring anything to Edgewood that requires that type of water. I think Edgewood, at the end of the day, has been doing a really good job, right? We're trying to be good stewards of the water we have. We're setting up artificial fields at Venus Park, the previous commission. They did a great job with that. I love that idea. So that we're not using water, and I want to continue doing those types of things where whatever we bring into Edgewood, we're not wasting water and using it on frivolous things, but making sure that it's here, because in 50 years from now, if I make it that far, God willing, I want to be able to turn on my tap water and still drink the Edgewood water. I know people don't like that. Like I said the other night, I still drink the Edgewood water. That's what we had when we moved out here. That's what I drink. It's probably not good for me, but hey, I want to be able to turn on that tap and still taste it. So that's where I stand on that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chavez?
I concur. Water is life. Water is important. I've already taken the stance of not being the city commissioner to go out and try to get as much information as I can to provide to the community as we have these meetings. I've met with, I've spoken with EPCOR, and I've also spoken with Indronosa. What astonished me is in the media, in the social media realm that we exist, there's a lot of negativity and there's a lot of misinformation out there, and it's really difficult to know who's telling the truth. So what I and how I am, I try to get the data, the statistics, not just to talk to you guys about it, but to share with you guys. I think that's an important role of any commissioner, is to be able to not only come to these meetings and, you know, I always say bump my gums and just talk to people, but I want to prove to you how and why and what, and bring in the professionals that can do that, because I'm not a professional. I'm a guy, I said a while ago, I was a cardiopulmonary therapist for 24 years. I'm a business owner now. I own a security company. What do I know about water other than most of you guys turning the water on and off? So I try to educate myself, and I think that's a key component of educating ourselves. But what really struck me funny is when I had these meetings, I brought up the same comment that most of us would, you know, what and why do we have so low of a water table? And both individuals who do this for a living told me that is wrong. They said there's a huge water basin out there. The problem that we have in this area is that we don't have the ability to transfer that water to here. So I can only go with what the experts are telling me, same as anybody else, but I just thought I'd share that, and I think that it's really important that as we discuss these as a commission, as commissioners, that we provide evidence to you guys, evidence-based data to you guys, and accomplish the things that, you know, that are put in front of us. If you want more information about water, we should put the town hall together, bring the experts and speak about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brennan?
Thank you. Yeah, water is a big issue, not only here, but throughout the entire state. But for us, at the commission, we have passed our water ordinance, which is our first step to be able to make the town a water utility. We want to do that, not to sell water to individual households, but you have to be responsible for all the piping that's in the ground going to each house. And that's too much for the town to take over. We want to be a wholesaler. We want to be able to go purchase water rights, and we're in the process of doing that. We've got our 40-year water study going on. That's another step that has to be taken. So we're taking those steps. Once we've completed these steps, we can also go to the state and the federal to get grant money to go ahead and help us to develop new water sources, to help water treatment systems. Because as a government entity, we can get that money. Unfortunately, EPCOR and Trinoza, they can't apply for those monies, but we can. So we can go ahead and get those water rights, pull that water out of the ground, treat that water and get it to a good standard, and we can sell it to those two utilities that can add it to their water and improve the quality that they're providing to their customers. But once again, we have to be that water utility. We get in following those steps. The other thing too is technology is always going to be constantly increasing, and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow as far as what technology is, and we need to go ahead and make sure we stay on top of it with the experts to make sure that we apply the new technologies that come available to us. Water is, like everybody says, water is life. Without water, you don't have a town. And we are making those plans to make sure that we have adequate water supplies for this town for many years to come. Because Edgewood is growing, and as you grow, your water demands are going to be going up. We're also working with the local communities around us to help stop the constant shipping of water out of this area to be used in other places like the wind farm roads.
Thank you very much. Mr. Irvin?
Specific steps. We need to closely monitor the growth and development. We have to keep the pulse of that close to see how much we're using. Carefully review the development applications. We really need to make sure we know what's coming here and how many developments are applying for those particular areas. We need to keep a close eye on water consumption. And we need to consult with the hydrologists to make sure that we're using the science behind that to see what rate we're going to be using that at and how long it's going to last. And one of the other things we need to do is be responsible with our water while we're using that. We had discussion on a water ordinance that we were in the process of developing, and it considered zero skating and some other measures we can take to ensure we have water last into the future. The forecast models are another thing we need to keep a close eye on, and we want to use a reliable source in order to do that. So we got to take a systematic approach to doing this so we don't miss anything, and we look hard at each and every application and what the impact that's going to have on each use of water and how we're gonna use it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Anaya.
Quick, I can take this 30 seconds. You know what, I like this question very much because, my track record speaks for itself when it comes to water. I belong on one of the boards that, or organizations that fought water leaving the Stanton Basin